Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still out on assignment. He did call me and say he has arrived safely. All is well. He's just out and about doing his thing. So that's a good thing. With that being said, we do have AD Drew. So welcome to episode 446 inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic program and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Another Thursday. We got a nice slate of games on tap for the weekend, so looking forward to a lot of this football action that we got coming up this upcoming weekend.
Oh, man, they going to let you check out some games this weekend?
Yeah, I got an off weekend. I'm open.
Hey, Drew. AD Drew, you hear that, man? He got an off weekend. Is there such thing in the world for you?
Well, Charles is trying to get ready for the for next week, and they got to make that ride down to or that flight over to Tallahassee.
Oh yeah.
They let him get his rest early because ain't gonna be no sleeping afterwards, my brother. Ain't no sleeping. But
I'll take that.
But Dr. Cavil, you know, we just trying to practice on grass and not on concrete over here, man.
Oh,
that makes sense. I like it. With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, Charles, I'm going to go with you with some of the news of the day. What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. News of the day, and this is big. This happened this afternoon. Texas Southern University Board of Regents has approved a new 3-year contract with Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Dr. Kevin Granger. Dr. Kevin Granger, who has served as TSU's Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics since 2018, has been affiliated with the university for 31 years as a student athlete, coach, and administrator. And this is a statement from Interim President, Dr. Mary Evans Saya. So I would like to thank our Board of Regents for having the confidence in me to lead the department. And that's a statement from Dr. Granger. It is an honor to lead my alma mater, and we will continue to move the department to the next level. So Dr. Kevin Granger rewarded with a 3-year extension. That's huge.
That's big news. Board of Regents met today, and they gave the check mark. So, 3-year extension. I think he currently has a couple of years left on the deal, so they extends him out 4 or 5 years. It's significant as he continues to build the program, and it certainly shows that they have support into him. So you're right. Kudos to Dr. Kevin Granger for getting his extension at Texas Southern University, as he said, his alma mater. With that being said, AD Drew, I'm going to go to you. What's on your mind?
Let's talk Tennessee State, Dr. Cavil. And Tennessee State has agreed to some games, some of them making them some money. Let's see. They have a game with a SWAC opponent and a home with a MEAC school. And a lot of that was due to the fact that they lost the game with Kennesaw State, who gave them a $100K buyout for not being able to play the game next year. As you know, Kennesaw State is making the transition to FBS. next year, so they probably needed that week on the schedule. Anyway, let's stay with the HBCU portion of this. TSU is playing Mississippi Valley State next year, and that will be, I believe, part of the John Merritt Classic. And that $100,000 that they got from Kennesaw State will pass through the Tennessee State bank account and wind up down in Itta Bena, because that is the amount that they're paying Valley to come play in the Classic. So I like to see everybody helping each other out with that. And they have also agreed to a home and home series with the Howard Bison, traveling to DC in 2024, and the 2025 game will be at Nissan Stadium. Although I'm still a fan of Hale Stadium, but it is what it is when it comes to those venues over there in Nashville.
Thank you, A.D. Drew. Great point when you talk about the payment that was made to Tennessee State from Kennesaw State and how that happened to be the same amount that's agreed upon from Valley. Valley got a pretty good amount for a one-way trip. Not bad there. With that being said, with that going on, let me go back to you, Charles, see if we can get some of these players of the week here for the people and celebrating what's going on in SWAC and SIAC, CIAA for that matter.
No doubt. Let's take a look at SWAC volleyball weekly honors for this past week. The SWAC has named Gramblin's Zion Smith, and Nia Ellis, and Anna Calderon, along with Florida A&M's Yanni Sanford, for SWAC weekly volleyball honors for their impressive performances for this past week. We take a look at Zion Smith. She tallied 32 kills during Grambling State's matches versus Southern and Alcorn this past week. She tallied double-digit kills during both matches, while also chipping in 1 assist and 1 service ace during the 7 sets played. Defensive player of the week is Nia Ellis. Ellis recorded 39 digs during Grambling's matches versus Southern and Alcorn this past week. She tallied double-digit kills during both matches while contributing 18 assists. Setter of the week is Anna Calderon. She recorded 47 assists during Grambling's matches against Southern and Alcorn. She tallied double-digit assists during both matches while also contributing 1 kill and 2 aces. And the newcomer of the week is Yanni Sanford. Stepped up big for the Rattlers in the sweep of Bethune-Cookman with 10 kills and a hitting percentage of 42%. She also contributed 3 blocks and 1 dig. So those are your players of the week. Volleyball in the SWAC.
Shout out to the volleyball players of the week for the SWAC getting it done. A.D. Drew, you got some players of the week that you're going to shout out this week?
I want to know if I can go off script for just a second, Dr. Cavil, and talk about some preseason honors for basketball.
Where you going into basketball?
Yeah. The weather has broken, with homecoming season comes basketball season.
It did break.
Yeah. So I want to step into the SIAC and talk about the preseason men and women's all-conference team. Start on the men's side. Preseason player of the year, Malachi McCoy of Benedict College. The preseason defensive player of the year, Jamal Reynolds of Fort Valley State. Those two are on the preseason first team, joined along with Willie Jackson of Central State, Jalen Williams of Clark Atlanta, and Asante Price of Benedict College. On the second team, Stephen Lyles of Spring Hill, Brandon Smith of Benedict College, Micah Evans of Lemoyne Owen, DeAnthony Pennington of Tuskegee, and Taryn Wolford of Albany State. Quickly flipping over to the women's honors, Dr. Cavil. And on the women's side, preseason player of the year, Amaya Harris of Miles College. Defensive player of the year, Amari Hurd of Savannah State. Those two are on the first team, also joined by Taylor Christmas of Benedict College, Nyla Allen of Savannah State, and Karina Evans of Clark Atlanta University. On the second team, Brittany Boland of Tuskegee University, Grayson Kerr of Kentucky State, Janiyah Ellis of Clark Atlanta, Destiny Jameson Whitfield of Allen, and Ariel McElroy of Tuskegee University. And those are the preseason men and women's SIAC all-conference players.
E. Drew loves some love to HBCU basketball out of SIAC. Always good stuff. Charles, I don't know whether I get excited when I hear the basketball news or get concerned and sad when I hear the basketball news, because that tells you that football is moving along and may be about halfway over. With that being said, Charles, any other honors you have for us this week?
Yeah, let's take a look at the SIAC Players of the Week. The SIAC announced Football Players of the Week for Week 7 this past Wednesday, and Benedict's Aeneas Williams. Aeneas Dennis. He was named Offensive Player of the Week, while Edward Waters, Jaron Wilson earned Defensive Player of the Week. Also recognized with Central State's Jose Charis as Special Teams Player of the Week, and Edward Waters, Nathan Rembert, he took home a second title as a newcomer of the week. Let's take a look at Dennis, the quarterback from Austell. He delivered a standout performance for Benedict in their 48-6 win over Fort Valley this past week. Dennis threw for an impressive 324 yards, completed 16 of 25 passes and 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Also rushed for an additional touchdown. Game's highlight was a big 59 touchdown pass to Billy Pierre. So Aeneas Dennis, Offensive Player of the Week. Defensive Player of the Week from Edward Waters is Jaron Wilson. Standout performance of the week, Jaron Wilson played a pivotal role in the Edward Waters stunning 41-38 upset on the road against Tuskegee. He showcased his defensive prowess with an impressive stat line totaling 6 total tackles, including 2 crucial tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and a game-changing forced fumble. Special Teams Player of the Week was Jose Charis from Central State. He tallied an impressive 176 yards on 6 punts, with his longest punt reaching 41 yards. In addition, he also showcased his versatility by completing 4 kickoffs, a massive 228 yards. So those were your Players of the Week in the SIAC.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Eddie Drew, what direction you want to go in next in terms of some additional news of the day?
Well, since we're talking players, let's go to the CIAA. And we know the CIAA pretty much gives out an award for every different position group. So I'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. Offensive Lineman of the Week, Justin Meade of Virginia Union. The Quarterback of the Week, Isaiah Freeman of Lincoln of Pennsylvania. The Lincoln of Pennsylvania, 4 wins. Oh, wow. Hard to believe that. The Receiver of the Week,
Kudos to Lincoln. You paused on that. We can give them a little love. They hadn't been streaking like this. Can they get to the winning season? It's going to be tough to close out the season, but the fact that they even have a chance is pretty big. So great point you're making there and talking about Lincoln with the 4 wins. Yeah.
Jashawn Middleton, Winston-Salem State, is the Food Lion Receiver of the Week. The Food Lion Offensive Back of the Week. Everybody knows who it is, right? Virginia Union, Jada Byers. Yeah. add that to the trophy case. Food Lion Defensive Back of the Week, Willie Drew of Virginia State. Food Lion Linebacker of the Week, T.J. Gunter of Bluefield State. The Food Lion Defensive Lineman of the Week, Isaac Anderson of Virginia Union. The Food Lion Special Teams Player of the Week, Ray Jackson III from Virginia State. And the Food Lion Rookie of the Week is Cameron Davis of Virginia State. And if you paid attention to that, the Virginia schools got over half of the honors that the CIAA gave out for this particular week. Maybe that's why they're the top 2 teams in the conference.
Yeah, you don't say. Great point. Great point when you get into what's going on in the CIAA. Well, to share some love for various players of the week in terms of what's going on in week number 7. Man, it's creeping along. More than half the season's going over. You can almost give grades, midterm grades. I would ask y'all for the midterm grades, but I heard y'all pretty tough professors, so I don't want to embarrass folks here. So we're going to take our first break, come back on the other side, and get into some marching sport rankings.
Find that withdrawal
a little
slip.
Safer for y'all. Maybe not for me, but we'll get your thoughts on it.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles and AD. With that being said, we're going to get into our mid-major marching sport top 7 bands of the week. Not a lot of changes, meaning no team dropped out this week. We do have some slight arrangements. We have more updates in terms of the top programs getting into matches and getting it done in terms of some marching sport contests. So we didn't have any team drop out this week. Those that are receiving votes, Talladega Marching Tornadoes still receiving a vote at 104. Kentucky State Mighty Marching Thoroughbreds hadn't been in the contest for a while, but they're still hanging in there at 103. And Fayetteville State, the Marching Bronco Express are 1-0, both overall in conference. They might have a key matchup with Winston-Salem State this upcoming week, so we'll keep our eyes on that. With that being said, starting at number 7 this week is Albany State Golden Rounds Marching Show Band. And you'll get a refrain with this. These teams that are just hanging in there hadn't had a lot of contests, so this is going to drive Charles crazy. They're 1-0. Conference is 1-0, 107 points, 7 first place. No first place votes, remaining at number 7. Getting to number 6, Benedict Marching Tiger Band's a distinction. Team is number 1 in most poll rankings across the country. Top 25 Division II program, but the band is not showcasing, getting on the road, supporting them. But kudos to the football team. They're finding a way to get it done. That's 125 points. They remain at number 6. The only thing that is working for these bottom 7 is the fact that those receiving votes and outside are not in contest at all either. Clark Atlanta Mighty Marching Panther Band are 1-0, 129 points. They come in 5th. Now this is where it gets a little more interesting. At number 4, Virginia State Trojan Explosion. They're 2-1, 1-0. They fall a spot, 131 points. They should have a contest coming up, but at this point, they're headed in the wrong direction. And number 3, Winston-Salem State Red Sea of Sound, 3-1, 3-0. They've had contests the last 2 weeks. They've earned the first place vote, and they've slightly moved up to number 3, 151 points. Previous rank 4, Stephen Gaither must be out there and sending in them checks to make sure that the band is getting on the road. They listen at it. He's serious about it. He's mad because the football team is not doing his part. So he switched. He moved the checks from football to the marching sport. And look, it's paying off. At number 2, Miles Purple Marching Machine. They got on the road and went to Atlanta, picked on Morehouse and got it done. They did get the victory. 3-1, 2-0, 3 first place votes, 161 points. The story behind that is they do their marching in. Nobody communicated across the platform. They were excited to be there. They gonna do their thing, but they were honoring the seniors over there at Morehouse. And boy, somebody's mom made sure that everybody knew that that's not how you do it when they baby.
Wow.
Respect.
Wow.
So got a little interesting, but Miles took care of it.
Communication is the key.
They still got the win. So at the end of the day, and they did that on the football field and at halftime. First quarter, marching in, 5th quarter, whatever quarter you want to talk about it, they won. At number 1, Langston Marching Pride, 3-0, 2-0. They took out their early frustrations in terms of what was going on, not having any bands to participate. They played Arkansas Baptist, the Buffaloes, and they buffaloed them. dropped them. They earned 4 first-place votes, 163 points, remain number 1. That's your marching sport mid-major division in week number 7. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the marching sport?
Well, let me say shout out to Fort Valley. They got on the road last week and against Benedict, so I did catch that. But this is that part of the year. My eyes on these top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you got any road games, are you being that 12th man? That is my benchmark. Do you aid the team in terms of what you bring to the field? And like you say, AD, just communicate just a little bit. That helps out a little bit with regards to the pregame festivities. Because I'm sure the band director wouldn't have no problem with just the drums beating coming in or something, or just marching in silently. But it is what it is, communication.
AD knows about the communication and need for it coming out of his daily work that he gets done in a lot of ways. But with that being said, let's get to the marching sport. What are your thoughts on the top 7?
I have to take pause, Dr. Cavil.
It gets dangerous when you take a pause, but I like it. Go ahead.
Looking at all these teams not getting out there on the road. Shout out to Fort Valley for getting on the road on a Thursday night game, Dr. Cavil.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, that's huge. That just don't happen when people get on the road for a Thursday night game. Miles, I'm looking forward to in 1, 2, 3 weeks for a big matchup with Miles. Maybe my Golden Tigers can get back into it, or maybe Miles can do enough to move up because you know my Tuskegee's going to be traveling to Fairfield, Alabama to take on.
Okay, tempo exactly.
So that's going to happen come hell or high water. That matchup is going to happen. I can't speak to nobody else's matchup, but that one is going to happen. And then the other one is Langston is done. So Langston is sitting there with the opportunity to be gotten.
Yeah.
Is
somebody strong enough to get them?
I think that's a very great point. And they have a slim margin in terms of leading only 4th place votes. So I'm not sure if they put a big enough gap in them to be able to hold out over the next couple of weeks with some of these top teams having matchups. Told you about Winston-Salem State. They're likely to be able to face Fayetteville State. So that's going to be at least one more on their ledger. You got Miles and Tuskegee, another one on their ledger. Albany and Fort Valley, you already talked about them going in there. Benedict is going to likely have the benefit that they're going to play in a championship game. That's going to be a matchup for their band at least, and they had this previous one. So you can see them adding up those victories as it comes on. And will it be enough to take Langston, as you said, that will sit idle? And I'm sure there's a couple of other matchups out there.
Don't forget State and Union. State and Union also at the end of the year.
That's a big one.
Oh, right. You say Virginia Union,
yeah.
So that helps Virginia State. They have a chance to add another contest to their ledger. So during the stretch, not a lot of matchups, but there are going to be some key matchups. So great point, and I'm glad you pointed that out. With that being said, we're going to come back on the other side and get into some of these key matchups. And boy, do we have some big ones. Top 10 matchups, top 7 matchups out of the CIAA, SIAC. It's time to get into it. We'll take this next break. We'll come back on the other side and see what these gentlemen talk about in terms of our CIAA, SIAC games of the week.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab with the professors, Professor Bishop, Professor Drew. With that being said, we're gonna ask them to go in their analytics, go into the data, and tell me what do they think of these matchups. And boy, do we have a good one. So y'all listen up close. With that being said, a couple of weeks ago, we had like 5 top 10. It's hard to top that. But in this case, we do have at the mid-major level, we have 2 top 10 matchups. One of them is a top 5. With that being said, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Luther, Nick Gerald Stadium, homecoming, CIAA style, Saturday, October the 21st at 1:00 p.m. We have number 8, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. It has surprised many people this year. They come in with a 5-2 record overall, 4-1 in the conference race, and they're at number 6, Fayetteville State, the Broncos, which are overall 5-2 and 5-0, a clean record in the South. With that being said, it'll be fascinating. Fayetteville State has been able to get it done in the South, but it's a little murkier this year. They don't distance themselves out in a lot of ways, but you can't tell because of their record. Number 8 is on the road at number 6. Let me go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of what's going down in the South Division of the CIAA?
This is going to be a good one. I'm looking for a defensive contest in this one. And to me, the key in this one is who's the first team to get to 17 points. I think that's the benchmark number that I'm looking for because both can play
under
defense.
35.
Yeah, both can play defense, but offensively, it's been a fight. I think Fayetteville State has only scored 26 points on the past couple of weeks. So, but homecoming, will the theme stay intact with some of these homecoming losses or not? So I'm going to go with Fayetteville State with their homecoming on this. So I'm going to go and say they will be the first to get to 17 points to get the W over Johnson C. Smith.
So, Drew, that was 1:00 Central Time, so it's high noon in the East Coast, and they like to play things to get things started right at the early part of the day on the East Coast, if you would, and South Atlanta. A lot of folks think about it. Top 10 matchup. Excited about this. I know you do your homework at the Division II level, mainly out of the SIAC, but you got to keep your eyes on it because you don't know if this is going to be one of those matchups when we start looking at the CIAA, SIAC, who's the top, who's not. What are your thoughts again? The Golden Bulls on the road at the Broncos.
Dr. Cavil, you said surprised about what's going on at Johnson C. Smith. But if you paid attention to Coach Maurice Flowers, what he did when he was at Fort Valley, this is par for the course. Second year at an institution, that's when that institution makes that great leap. Same thing he did when he was at Fort Valley. They made that great leap. And they're doing it the same way. Strong running game, good defense. And Charles, you mentioned these defense. Number 2 and 3 in the conference.
Yeah.
In defense. So, yeah. I expect that Johnson C. Smith's offense is middle of the pack, where Fayetteville State's offense is in the bottom third of the CIAA. Here's the but, y'all. We talking Fayetteville State in the South. For the last 5 years, you would have lost your house, your car, your mortgage, and your woman if you betted against Fayetteville State winning the South. So until somebody proves me that they could beat Fayetteville State and keep them out of that CIAA championship game, I have to roll with the Broncos once again.
Yeah.
I like that. Good analysis by both of y'all. Let's go into the SIAC. This one is a top 5 matchups. It seems like we say that just about every week in the SIAC.
That's because it
talk
is.
About these top programs. It's just that kind of life going on down there. Obviously, a lot of people are focused on Benedict as they deserve to be focused on. But when you get right under that, there's still a lot of good football being played. A.D. Drew told us early, coming in the season, keep your eyes on Allen. Everybody just kind of looked at Drew and be like, oh, well, Allen, what are you talking about? Then a couple of weeks were played, and folks was like, oh, the Yellow Jackets. Okay, well, check this out. Allen Yellow Jackets are up to number 3 as they travel to Fairfield, Alabama, Sloan Alumni Stadium. It's Miles College homecoming. If you're from Alabama, you know they do it right just outside of Birmingham there. But can the Allen Yellow Jackets come in to be the spoilers? They were spoilers last week. They got on the road and got it done. They are 6-1 overall in the season, 4-1 right in the thick of the race. On the road at number 5, Miles Golden Bears, who are 5-2 and 4-1 in their own right in the thick of things. A.D. Drew, sticking with you. What are your thoughts in terms of SIAC with this top 5 matchup?
Doc, they kicking this game off at, I believe, like 5 or 6 o'clock local time. And the reason that they're doing that, because they want to make sure that it's dark enough for everybody to see the fireworks. Because that's what I'm going to expect out of this game. Dr. Cavil, number 2 in the SIAC in offense, Miles, 33 points a game. Number 4 in the offense, Allen, 31 points a game. That's only 2 points a game, Dr. Cavil, separating spots number 2 and number 4 on offense. What Miles has the advantage at is the defense is only allowing 19 points a game, while Allen is allowing 29 points per game. But if you want to talk about yardage, Dr. Cavil, both these teams are averaging 425 yards or more of offense. I want you to think about that. 800 yards of offense between these two teams. So it's going to come down real simple. Who takes care of the ball? And somebody has to have some red zone efficiency. Because you cannot afford multiple field goals in this game if you expect to win. You have got to get touchdowns when you get into the red zone. It's that simple. If you give some of them odd scores that equal up to 6 or 9, I guarantee you that team is going to lose in this battle. One last thing, you got 2 of the top quarterbacks in the SIAC with David Wright and Edwin Klein Peter Jr. The winner of this game will have a leg up in the argument for Conference Player of the Year.
Most certainly. Great points all made there. ESPN 2 is where this game will be played. And I think while they plan to have some fireworks, I think they're pushing it up a little bit, 4 o'clock Central Time because of the TV broadcast, ESPN 2. Just want to tell those that want to get out there and check it out, see that. But everything else, AD, you talked about in terms of fireworks, I agree with him. In terms of the offensive explosion, both of these teams will see what they can do to put the ball up and bring in some points. With that being said, it's going to be fascinating. 3 versus 5. Yellow Jackets, both the Golden Bears. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this top 5 matchup?
I think the stat that you pointed out, AD, was the one that I really picked up on, and that was the fact that Miles' defense 19 points per game versus the Allen's defense 29 points per game. But like you said, both offensively the 2 of the better quarterbacks in the league. But it brings up an interesting question. I was going to ask you, who is the better quarterback? Is it David Wright or is it Edward Kleinpeter?
If you say who is the better passer of the 2, I have to go with Wright. I think Kleinpeter is the better dual threat of the 2. So it's what type of quarterback do you want to run your system? You know, if you look at the air it out Kansas City Chiefs style, then you probably want to lean more towards a David Wright. If you're looking to do more like a Jalen Hurts type offense, you probably want to lean more towards Edwin Kleinpeter. I mean, the man is about 6'3", 250 or somewhere up in there, something ridiculous like that. He's a
Right.
load to bring down.
Big
That's
kid. Yeah.
You know, he's got almost as many rushing touchdowns as he has passing touchdowns. Because when he gets inside the 5, you just can't stop him when that train goes down here.
Yeah, my big thing, like you said, is red zone efficiency. And I don't know. It threw me off when I saw the score last week with Miles surrendering 22 points to Morehouse. That was that kind of threw things into a bit of a flux for me. I don't know. I like the element on the road. I will go with the upset on this.
Classic trap game last week. Looking ahead to this Allen game after what happened with Benedict the week before. So I think that was the opportunity for Morehouse to do something.
This is one of my 2 trap games this weekend.
Would not surprise me, but
with that being said, I do have one correction there. This game is not on the 4-letter network. It's on this 4-letter network, BCSN, and Mo Carter will have the call. So make sure you tune in for the Black College Sports Network to check out our top 5 matchup. Number 3, Allen Yellow Jackets at number 5, Miles Golden Bears. That's Dr. CAVIL'S inside the HBCU Sports Lab top 7 matchup, just so you know who's giving you these rankings and where to keep your eyes spinning as we continue to get it done. With that being said, we're going to turn it around. We're going to go into the major division of the marching sport, tell you what took place. We had some key matchups on that side, so some changes in the poll rankings, and then we'll come back with our final segment and make sure you get your major division games of the week, where we'll feature those top programs around the HBCU major division. With that being said, stick with us. I know we got a big matchup out of the MEAC today, 6:30, about to kick off. Stick with us. We'll make sure you get some updates on that side and see how things are going. But we'll close it out and give you your news of the day in terms of that major sports, marching sport top 7 and those games of the week. Stick with us. Be right back after this next break.
It's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kind of got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. CAVIL'S inside the HBCU Sports Lab, back for the major division marching sports. Some changes here, and we're gonna jump right into it. Nobody dropped out this week. Some teams on the outside. Howard, the Showtime Marching Band, North Carolina A&T, the Blue and Gold Marching Machine. They do have that matchup with Hampton, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do with that. Yeah, Florida A&M, the Marching 100. We're still talking about them getting on the road. They look like they might get that bonus game of hosting the SWAC championship game. We'll see what that looks like. That will probably benefit them going down the stretch. But at this point, they're on the outside looking in. Let's jump right into it at number 7. This was part of a top 7 matchup. Number 7 versus number 1 Norfolk State. As you can see here, Norfolk State went on the road and got it done. It was really close. So that's why Tennessee State, the aristocrat of bands, did not drop out, but they had the L. 2-1 on the season. The first L of the season was at homecoming at home. And boy, was it a great contest in terms of what's going on then. I was surprised so many people left at a halftime with folks interested in the 5th quarter. Maybe they came back, but obviously some talk about what took place there. 130 points at number 7. They remain there when you look at Tennessee State, the aristocrat of bands. Let's move on to number 7. At number 6. Number 6, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, the Marching Wildcats. They stay in the ranking. as they got it done. Some of the teams that are participating lost key matchups, which allowed them to stay in the hunt as they stay in there. But some other teams are getting warmed up. 154 points at number 6. They stay in that. Bringing us to number 5. At number 5, you have none other than the Texas Southern Ocean Soul. They fall 2 spots. They were off open this weekend as they get it done. 3-0, 2-0. They still undefeated on the season, but they did not perform this past weekend. 158 points. They didn't hit the road, long trip to Daytona to follow the team out there, so they do drop 2 spots. Bringing us to number 4, Mississippi Valley State, the Mean Green Machine, Marching Machine. It's undefeated. They're 4-0, 1-0 in terms of the conference race. Pine Bluff came down there. Great matchup between what looked at there, but not only did the Delta Devils put a whooping on the Golden Lions, did it at halftime as well in terms of marching in. But it was a good contest, close in a lot of ways, but the Mean Green Marching Machine got it done. They move up a spot to number 4, 168 points. Bringing us to number 3, Jackson State, the Sonic Boom of the South, 4-1, 3-0. They have classic matchups with Alabama State. The Hornets there came in for homecoming. While they got the football game, they did not get the Battle of the Bands. But it was a great contest, a lot of action, a lot of good music was had, and a lot of folks were entertained. But Jackson State is able to move up a spot based on their victory at 186 points. Bringing us to number 2, the Southern Human Jukebox, 4-0, 2-0. Did not have a contest. They're at number 2. They did lose a vote based on the fact that they didn't have a contest. They stay at number 2, though, with 199 points. Bringing us to number 1, the Norfolk State, the Spartan Legions are 5-0, 8 first-place votes. They get it done, stay there, 207 points, and are ranked number 1, and they make a huge statement, gaining the first-place vote, holding on to the number 1 spot, going on the road to Nashville. And, boy, did they get it done. Excited about that. Let me go to you, Drew. 80 Drew, go to you first, and then we'll bring in Charles to get his thoughts on the major division marching sport in week number 7.
Not even your number 1 Norfolk Spartan Legion coming into Nashville was enough to keep the fans from leaving. 2 top 7 bands. 2 top 7 bands. And y'all can't stay around to watch them? I mean, if you can't watch the football game, at least listen to the band, watch the band, stay for the 5th quarter, do something, but I'm not gonna Eddie George. He has a gripe, but come on, Tennessee State. I need y'all to do better than that. Hey, shout out to Valley. Despite what's happening on the field, they keep playing their butts off and doing their best to keep the entertainment going and keep some pride in the university. Shout out to Valley. And I mean, let's be real. Southern, Grambling, Bayou Classic could be a mover or shaker in the final poll, Dr. Cavil. There ain't no could be. It will be one way or the other. It will vault somebody up, while at the same time it will shoot somebody all the way down. So I'm done.
This is not just saying Grambling marching band last week. They got victories of getting on the road, all corner, got that elusive State Fair Classic victory they had this year that they hadn't had in a while, not just on the football field, but they got it in the stands and on the field as well in terms of the marching sport. So to your point, that could be critical in terms of how things go at the end of the season. I'm fascinated to see what that looks like in terms of that matchup. Charles, on Tuesday you talked about your concerns about Tennessee State, jokingly, half-heartedly in some ways, about John Merritt, and a friend of yours, obviously, that talked about them being a band school now. I just happened to see a clip with John Merritt reviewing the game that happened to be a victory when they were playing Louisville. And Louisville brought him up there, paid him some money. John Merritt joked a little bit, talking about, I'm sure they invite us back because they made some money. But he got the victory, so I'm not sure that they were going to bring him back. I think he was wishful thinking, and they beat him pretty handily in that matchup. But he happened to talk about his band, the Tennessee State band, the Risk Raider band. Went up there to Louisville and put it on him, and he gave him some love in terms of the halftime show. So it's totally insane as you talk about what took place there in this matchup, top 7 matchup. Man, this is a Grammy-winning band.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah, Eddie George has a great.
So, it's not just about coming into the stadium. It's not just about halftime. That's just part of it. Post-game, 5th quarter, as we like to call it, and folks disappear. I just had to go there a little bit with the marching sport. I know a lot of folks are talking about the football field and that part of it, but even on the marching sport, I was amazed about that. But credit to the Tennessee State Risk Raider band, because they did their thing, but I really got to shout out the Spartan Legions.
Yeah, shout out.
You talking about, quietly getting it done. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're no longer a secret, Charles.
No. Musicality from that standpoint, they are tremendous, and they put on tremendous field shows. 5th quarter culture, got to work on that. But for the most part, they are a top-notch band. But I wanted to shout out Mississippi Valley. It just does my heart proud to watch Valley, this resurgent Mean Green marching machine, right there in the midst of things. My father was a part of this band, first HBCU band to go to the Tournament of Roses parade. Dad marched on the great Russell Boone. So to see Valley climbing up the poles, that does my heart a lot of good. They got a big boy this weekend. They got the Sonic Boom coming in to It'll Beam this weekend. So we'll see how a resurgent Valley takes on the Sonic Boom of the South. Southern Humor Jukebox, my gosh, the past 2 weeks.
They got them on home turf before you move to the jukebox.
Yeah, they got them on home turf. Can you protect?
On home turf, on home dirt.
And can you be the 12th man that is going to be big in this game? Because Valley always plays Jackson State with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. But if you add that Earth, Wind, and Fire, that third element, if you add that element of the band, things can get a little weird for a quarter, especially up there in the beam. So keep an eye on that. Southern Humor Jukebox Doc the past 2 weeks. Let me tell you something. That gospel show that they did a couple of weeks ago, amazing. It's the reason why they say they're the standard. So, I'm sure that over the next few weeks, as they probably are not on the road this weekend, but over the next few weeks, you will see the Human Jukebox climb as well. But I can't argue with it. This is a good poll. Let me see what the Ocean does this weekend. No March of 100, I don't think. But can you be the 12th man? I need to see you be the 12th man because might be a trap game. Can you play a part in there?
And JT, we're going to talk about that in the last segment about that game as the SWAC game of the week. Before we do that and before we go to the next break, I did want to go to Edwin D. Moore. Great information that he's putting out here following the show. No Marching 100 this week. No, he asked about Valley. I just want to remind him, I know he watches the show regular, but for him and those that don't realize it, remember, this band is not just about a showcase. This is not about how well you play. Southern does a great job. We know about Southern sound. We're not questioning Southern sound. We're not questioning Jackson State sound. What we're questioning is teams in terms of their performance. Your ass has to get on the road. And I purposely don't cuss a lot, but I want to put this out there because I want people to understand. This is about matchup. This is not about you living on your legacy. This is not about you freeloading for the fact that you had people in the past that did the work and got on the road and got it done. So we reward people here that have contests, that perform against each other. All this, you staying at home and resting on you ain't got no money, that ain't my fault. Either go raise it, get on your administration to get you some money, or save some money and do something about getting on the road. I don't want to hear it. This is not, again, about you being able to blow your horn real loud and you got a large following of band members and folks that support you and love you and vote and push a button in some poll talking about how great you are and stroking your head. This is about you out there putting in work against other bands and contests and getting it done. It's also about you supporting your team in terms of a contest in regards to making sure that you understand you don't play when your quarterback is under center. We're watching all these things. So if you think you're going to showcase and stick out your little chest because you can blow a horn real deep and have great sound, we'll clap for you, but you're going to earn this L, and you're not going to be in this poll. And if you are on the poll, you're going to drop. It is what it is. We'll be right back after this break and get back on the other side of this in terms of some key matchups in the MEAC and the SWAC. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Shout out to Jeff Roberts. I like that comment. That was funny. The teacher's pet. That's pretty good. I'll put that F squared in there. You better recognize how we get it done over here. But let's get back to it, because now we're talking about the football side of things. Obviously, we have the MEAC matchup this Thursday night, kicking things off as they get in the full slate of conference games, starting things off with North Carolina Central on the road in Baltimore, Maryland, and Morgan State. We talked about that Tuesday. So our MEAC game takes us to Washington, D.C. It's homecoming in Green Stadium, breast cancer awareness, Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 noon, if you would. ESPN on this matchup. If I had to look at my strength of schedules, these two teams would be in the top 15. Norfolk State Spartans at 15, 2-4. On the road, I would have Howard at 13, 2-4. Both of these teams want to get off a good start. Norfolk State thought they were solid coming to years. They've had some ups and they had some downs. Howard has really looked good at times, particularly when they're playing some FBF matchups. But they also had some tough losses. Which team is going to show up? Who's going to get the party started right for the MEAC and make their statement and find a way to maybe look forward to a matchup with North Carolina Central, as many assume that they're going to be the king of the roost. With that being said, I'm going to start with you, Drew, and then go to you, Charles, in terms of these matchups. Drew, what are your thoughts going into the MEAC with Norfolk on the road at Howard?
You got a quarter in your pocket, Dr. Cavil, because I'm gonna need you to flip it. That's what it is with these two teams. Heads or tails. You don't know which team is going to show up for these two teams. Two of the most inconsistent teams that we have had in the MEAC. Two teams who had high expectations this year, and two teams, honestly, Dr. Cavil, who have underperformed to those preseason expectations. That's why I said you could flip a coin. This can be a classic game, or this could be competitive garbage, Dr. Cavil. You don't know what's going to happen this upcoming Saturday. I am going to lean on the home team for the simple fact that they are at home. But it would not shock me at all if the green and gold defeat the Bison.
Good stuff. Good comments. Agree with you all around in a lot of ways. But I want to hear also what Charles has to say about this matchup between the Spartans and Bison. Bison says they want to take the next step. Remember, they did have a co-championship last year. They shared it with North Carolina Central, as they had one loss. Their loss was to the Eagles, so the Eagles represented in the MEAC. With that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup between the Spartans and the Bison?
This one is the toughest one to pick for the weekend for me because, like you said, they've had ups and they've had downs. I think Al Coons was MEAC Player of the Week, and he was 10 of 27 last week, 127 yards. And just that just doesn't do it for me offensively. And like you said, AD, if for nothing more is Howard's homecoming, I have to go with the home team in this. I think they're a little stronger team, by the way. I think they can really run the ball.
I do too.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go with Howard in this one. I think Howard gets to win the homecoming win in front of the team crowd and the celebrities and everything. So they get a homecoming W.
Would the VP be there? For
VP
homecoming?
might come. VP might be there. Yeah,
she might drive across town for homecoming.
She might throw it up one time. Indeed.
Ooh, boy, y'all acting up. With that being said, Charles, I'm gonna stick with you. Houston, Texas, Shell Energy Stadium, Saturday, October 21st, under the lights at 7:00 p.m. The Texas Southern Tigers bring in the #1 ranked Florida A&M Rattlers, 5-1, 4-0 at Texas Southern. Tigers that's just coming off a big win, conference win in Florida. That one was against Daytona, in Daytona against the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, I should say. 2-4, 1-2 in the conference race, trying to stay in the thick of things, but they're only a game out with 3 teams ahead of them having one loss, 2 teams ahead of them having 1 loss in the mix. So they're right there in terms of, despite losing their first 2 games. But with that being said, I have 21 FCS programs, strength schedule at Texas Southern as 12. Can they find a way to get a little home cooking in terms of getting it done against the Rattlers, Charles?
This is going to be a very interesting game, and I call it a trap game for FAMU heading out here to Houston. First and foremost, I know records are what they are, but this is a better team than 2-4. This is a better team to me. And now that if the uncertainty around the quarterback has been solved, I think you're going to see a better offensive Texas Southern team. And get this, I know FAMU is the #1 defense in the SWAC, but they're about to take on the #1 rushing offense in the SWAC. And that says something to me. This is a team that is rushing for over 5 yards a pop. I expect a big dosage of Ladarius Owens. You've got to have a big Ladarius Owens night against this FAMU defense. And this defense is the truth. I will say that. This defense is the truth. The question to me, and I say this week in, week out, can you get the FAM's quarterback? Can anybody in this conference put a little bit of pressure on FAMU's quarterback? I think the elements are in place this weekend.
Before I go to you, Drew, and get your,
I think the elements are in place this weekend for Texas Southern W.
Ooh, I was gonna let you tease it out a little bit. I didn't know if you were gonna say it. You paused for that.
It's dramatic pause. Dramatic pause.
I see. Before I go to you, Drew, and get your thoughts on this #1 ranked Rattlers, Morgan State strikes first. They're up 3-0. They get the field goal. 7:44 left in that matchup. So maybe there will be chaos in the MEAC. We shall see. It is early. AD Drew, what are your thoughts of your #1 Rattlers going on the road? This is the first time they've been in Houston since like the 50s. Now they played Texas Southern quite a bit, if you would, but most of those games were in Jacksonville, Florida. Just to give some updates of what that looks like. So a lot of people around these parts are excited. I've seen the flyers out about the Rattlers. After the show, I'm going to go by and sneak into one of these after-hours spots for the Rattlers because I'm hearing they do anything. I just want to show up and make sure they're welcome to Houston properly. But coming in from Dallas, Houston.
I want to go too.
I'll send it out to you. I'll make sure you get the invitation as well. It should be intriguing. But they say the Rattlers know how to come out and party. I'm going to see if they know what they're doing. With that being said, AD Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of the Rattlers? 5-1, 4-0, going on the road. They're getting that much closer when we say this in all seriousness They're just 4-0, but they have Jackson State that suffered a tough loss at home against Alabama State, giving them 2 losses. They have the head-to-head matchup, so that's essentially a 3-game lead against them. They have Alabama State that had a big win this past weekend with that, but they still also have 2 losses, and they had a head-to-head matchup. So that's essentially a 3-game lead there. Alabama A&M snuck around and got a big win on the road. They have 2 losses, but they do have on the schedule. So the question in a lot of ways, will that game even matter getting up there, because we have 2 weeks, depending on what that looks like. So we'll keep you updated, but the countdown is right there in terms of the Rattlers locking it up. Many people are already booking in return to the Celebration Bowl. Other ones are booking certainly at least in Tallahassee for the SWAC championship game, because you got to believe that they're going to host it based on what's taking place in the West. But this is the first indication of one of those West teams you play that may have a chance for a rematch. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup here?
You cannot have chaos at the MEAC, Dr. Cavil. It's called MEAC. It is not called chaos. It's called MEAC. Let's start off with that. Number 2.
Great point.
No, you will not have a rematch of these 2 teams in the SWAC championship game. There may be a rematch, but it won't be FAMU and Texas Southern. I'll go ahead and put that with the bid. Just like I called Allen back in July, I'm calling this one now October 19th.
Gotcha. There's only 2 left, Southern and Prairie View, but we'll let you pause on it. We won't make you
I'm not gonna tip my hand on this. Here's what scares me, Dr. Cavil, with this lead that FAMU has over the rest of the SWAC East. MEAC 2018.
Oh my God! No!
Yes, that's what scares me as a Rattler fan. We were in a similar position at that point in time, and we laid the egg for the remainder of the season.
Have faith.
I will have faith when it is sewn up. Because see, this is what could happen. Alabama A&M defeats Alabama State in the Magic City Classic. That means no matter what happens these next 2 weeks, even if FAMU wins out, the Alabama State FAMU game the first week in November becomes the pseudo game for the East, because if Alabama A&M could beat FAMU, that puts them 1 game behind FAMU, with FAMU having to go and play Bethune-Cookman in the Florida Classic. And you can't tell anybody in orange and green you not concerned whenever we go down to Orlando to play Bethune-Cookman. So that is why I will not count this thing until it's done. Yes, we are in a great position. We have been there before. We have underperformed in the past. I hope Willie don't Willie on this one, but we are trying to get this thing done. We just try to go 1-0 for the week. We go on 1-0 for the week, and when it's done, Chuck.
It's a 3-game lead. Come on, it's a 3-game lead.
Chuck.
Have faith.
Chuck. No, I will have faith when it is delivered.
Man,
it's like Chuck. It's like
I have more faith than the Rattlers. I booked my tickets to Tallahassee, and it wasn't for homecoming. I canceled those because I didn't like what I see with the Panthers. Plus, no, really the reason is my wife is traveling, so I couldn't make that trip. I had to pull it back. But I rebooked it for December. That's where it's going down. We're going to be there. Charles and I, we will be there. We'll cover it. We do what we do. We don't miss championship game.
Hey, fellas. We all have kids. You remember when you see that ultrasound and the doctor tell you whether it's a boy or a girl and everything, but until it comes out, you're still not 100% sure what you got. That's how I feel right now. I've seen the ultrasound. We know what we have it, but until it comes out, I
fair.
still had that
That's
just
fair.
a little bit
Since
of
you
doubt.
break it down like that, I'll leave it alone. We'll
Jake Gaither is looking down right now, just shaking his head.
Jake Gaither also not on that sideline no more, not since 1969.
Oh boy, I tell you, man, y'all are so cold about this, but I feel you. Talking about some of these matchups, just on the record, fascinating things going on here when you talk about FAMU and Texas Southern 1958 to 1968. FAMU holds the record at 9-2. First game we have recorded with them playing is 1959, November 28th, Florida A&M at Texas Southern. Number 14, Jefferson Stadium, Houston, Texas. The Rattlers got it done 36-8. The team was ranked number 14 in the final UPI Coaches Small College Poll, National Black College Championship, and they did that unanimous. 1961, FAMU won. 1962, FAMU also won those championships, 63 and 64, with Prairie View in terms of those matchups. Just to give you some indications in terms of FAMU and Texas Southern. This year, FAMU comes to Prairie View, and we'll give you some updates in terms of what that looks like, as they had played for some Black College championships in those two rivalries back in the day. You talking about really digging into the history books. We'll show up and show out a little bit about that. With that being said, we're going to close it out. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Check us out on Sunday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time as we give you the latest and greatest of what took place that Saturday as well as Thursday. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyatta Cavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is also Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
A.D. Drew?
Lecture.
Update here. 1:43 left in the first quarter. Morgan State is up 3-0. Reviewing what would be a catch or non-catch. All hit the ground. So we're seeing what they call it. With that being said, early on, but the Bears at home are getting it done. 3-0. We'll see. We'll certainly have the report for you one way or the other. With that being said, dismiss.